Today I wanted to talk to you guys about 5 Space Marine characters which seem to have been forgotten, left behind, or abandoned by Games Workshop, what I think their current role is, where they are, will they come back, my thoughts and theories on that, and just a general all-round discussion on some of these awesome characters. So without further ado, let's dive in and see what we got. So first on my list is Captain Darnath Lysander, captain of the first company of the Imperial Fists, an awesome character. Let's have a quick look at what makes him so special. Darnath Lysander is the first captain of the Imperial Fist chapter's first company, overseer of the armory and watch commander of the Imperial Fist's mobile fortress monastery, the Phalanx. For 2 standard centuries, Lysander led the Imperial Fist First Company with distinction, earning the highest praise his chapter could bestow. Whilst leading a force of Imperial Fists, they disappeared into a warp storm and were feared lost. Through the chapter patiently waited for his return for quite some time, the chapter ultimately pronounced Lysander and his warriors dead in abstinence. In truth, Lysander's starship re-emerged into chaos-held space where it was captured by the Imperial Fist's bitter enemies, the Iron Warriors. Lysander and his survivors were captured and taken by the traitors to one of their accursed fortress worlds known as Maldrax, and were tortured for years. Eventually, Lysander, without weapons or armor, effected his escape and fought his way off the accursed Chaos World to freedom, where he returned to the Imperial Fist chapter. Many centuries had passed in the material universe. Fearing that he may have been tainted by the ruinous powers, Lysander was thoroughly screened by the chapter's various specialists and found free of chaos taint. Afterwards, Captain Lysander was reinstated to his position as captain of the first company. Lysander then led a force to raise the Iron Warriors from Maldrax and laid the world to waste, achieving his vengeance at last. Okay, that's Captain Darnath Lysander. Do I think Captain Darnath Lysander will return in the future as an actual miniature and playable in these codexes? Yes, I absolutely think he will make an appearance back. He is kind of too cool and too nostalgic not to. Second on my list, we are going to move over to the Grey Knights Codex and talk about the main man himself. That is, of course, Brother Captain Stern. Such an iconic character. He blighted tabletops all through the 3rd, 4th, 5th editions of Warhammer 40,000 as one of the most powerful things you could see deployed against you. He was terrifying. So let's talk a little bit more about that awesome character. Grey Knight's brother captain Arvan Stern is an elite demon hunter and one of the longest serving and most highly decorated captains of the elite Grey Knight Space Marines chapter. Even from his earliest years as a Grey Knight, Stern was believed to be well on his way to becoming one of the chapter's Grand Masters, but instead his life took an altogether different course. During one of his most famous exploits on the world of Antrak, Stern confronted the cult of the Red Talon and their demonic master, the Lord of Change, Makan. Stern valiantly led the counterattack against the vile Greater Demon, striking at the heart of the Chaos Cult's temple. Despite being outnumbered, the Grey Knights slaughtered the damned souls of the fell cultists. Through the use of his powerful psychic abilities, Stern managed to perform a formidable feat by banishing the mighty Makan deep to the warp. Normally, such a feat was beyond the psychic abilities of a lone Grey Knight Astartes. From that moment on, Stern's fate was to become forever intertwined with that Lord of Change. Makan vowed to devour the human's mortal soul, even if it took him an eternity to accomplish this task. Okay, do I think Brother Captain Stern will make a return? This one I'm honestly on the fence about. I'm not sure. They had so many opportunities to update him. Like, we've had 2 Castellan Crows, him being introduced, released and re-released in the time that Brother Captain Stern has been in service. We've had so many other characters and there's been no sign of any love for him. So honestly, I don't know. I really do hope he does come back out. I think he's a pivotal character in the Warhammer 40,000 universe and I think he definitely deserves some love and attention. Okay, Space Marine character number 3 on my list is Captain Kasarius, captain of the 2nd Company of the Ultramarines, or was the captain of the 2nd Company of the Ultramarines, now commander of the Victrix Guard and personal bodyguard to Lord Guilliman himself. If that doesn't tell you enough about how badass this character is, I don't know what will. Well, maybe this will explain it. Kasarius is the former captain of the Ultramarine 2nd Company and current commander of the Victrix Honor Guard. His title includes Master of the Watch, Knight Champion of Macragge, Grand Duke of Talazar, and High Suzerain of Ultimar. After accompanying Roboute Guilliman to Terra during the Terran Crusade following the Primarch's resurrection on Macragge in 999.M41 during the Ultramarines campaign of the 13th Black Crusade, Kasarius was ordered by Guilliman to return to Macragge. He brought with him a force of Primaris Space Marines raised by Guilliman's own genetic line to serve as reinforcements for the defenders of Ultramar. However, the small fleet was caught in a massive warp disturbance that marked the birth of the Great Rift and the onset of the Noctis Atira. Kasarius' vessel was lost in the warp, though the precious cargo of Primaris Astartes still managed to return to Ultramar. However, Kasarius had not been slain and eventually managed to escape the warp and return to the side of Roboute Guilliman, accompanying the Lord Commander of the Imperium as one of his chosen proteges throughout the Indominus Crusade. The Ultramarines were overjoyed to learn that Kasarius had still lived, but no determination was made to restore him to the command of the Second Company, which had been handed over to Captain Sevastus Arkan. Do I think we will get a new Cato Kasarius miniature? Yes. I absolutely think that the bodyguard of Roboute Guilliman should indeed get a miniature, along with a box set of his Victrix Guard soldiers, so he can of course have squads of these guys surrounding him in his personal army, and then of course throw Guilliman in the middle of that, and you have this really awesome kind of really narrative driven army for your Space Marines. So yes, 10 out of 10 believe we will get a new Kasarius at some stage in the near future. Character number 4 in this series, I'm going to be talking about Scoutmaster Telion. He is the captain of the 10th Company of Ultramarines, the master of recruits, and it is his personal job to basically recruit and train all the new influx of Ultramarines into the chapter. He is pretty cool, well regarded to look like Sean Connery on the battlefield, which is a pretty awesome thing to have. So let me explain a little bit more about who that awesome character is. Torius Telion is a veteran sergeant of the Ultramarine Space Marines chapter. Assigned to the chapter's 10th Scout Company, Telion is an incomparable instructor of new Ultramarines recruits. No less than 4 currently serving Ultramarines captains rightly attribute their skills and success within the chapter's hierarchy to the peerless tutelage of this esteemed warrior when they were neophytes. Telion is most famous for his unparalleled skill as a marksman and sniper among the ranks of the Astartes. Telion has served under the command of 3 successive chapter masters and has trod more battlefields across the width and breadth of the galaxy than most senior captains within the chapter. Despite having earned the honour of serving within the chapter's honour guard several times over, as well as the Iron Skull, the Imperial Laurel, and a dozen marksman honour badges, Telion has nevertheless elected to remain with the novice Scout Marines of the 10th Company. In this way, he is able to lead by example and experience, forging future warriors and matchless leaders for the Ultramarines chapter. The veteran sergeant has mastered all of the martial disciplines of the Space Marines over his many Terran years of service, having fought eye to eye and blade to blade with mankind's most fearsome enemies. Telion has taken the measure of each and found them wanting. Okay, do I think Scoutmaster Telion will return? No, I don't think he will. Unfortunately, he was taken out of the codex along with Cronus a couple of editions ago when everything kind of got indexed. There doesn't seem to be any signs of rules for him or anything like that. The model is no longer available, obviously. So unfortunately, I think Scout Sergeant Telion has fallen by the wayside and may never make a return into the world of the 41st Millennium, which is a sad thing to say, but that's just my opinion. Okay, and character number 5 on this series is from the Blood Angels Codex, or at least that's where he should be. And that is, of course, the beautiful chapter master of the Flesh Tears, Gabriel Seth. He was introduced into the Codex many years ago and has become a fan favorite ever since. The Flesh Tears are, of course, one of the most popular, if not the most popular, offcuts of Blood Angels that exist. So many conversions out there of him, so much fan love. He's just such an important model, and unfortunately he is currently missing from the Blood Angels Codex. The new Codex has been released and he is nowhere to be seen, so the entire internet is scratching their chins wondering where he is and will he make a return. Let me explain to you really quickly why he is so cool, and then I'll tell you whether or not I think he will make a return. Gabriel Seth, known as the Guardian of Rage, is the current chapter master of the infamous Flesh Tears Space Marine chapter, a second founding successive chapter of the Blood Angels, Sanguinary Brotherhood. The Flesh Tears have served humanity since the dawn of the Age of the Imperium. Gabriel Seth became chapter master of the Flesh Tears as his chapter was near annihilation. Millennia of unrelenting savagery had left the chapter shunned and distrusted by many of the Imperium's fighting forces. Seth knows that he cannot realistically curtail his battle brother's bloodlust. Indeed, he himself is prone to rage-soaked savagery as any of his brethren. Other Space Marine chapters had long viewed the Flesh Tears as being but a single step from turning renegade, and the Inquisition sought to have the chapter investigated. Worse, mutation in the Flesh Tears gene seed had exacerbated Sanguinius' curse, increasing the incidence of the Black Rage well beyond that seen by other Blood Angel successors. Even those Flesh Tears fortunate enough to escape the Black Rage were gripped by the bloodthirsty recklessness that inevitably cost many lives wherever the chapter went to war. Yet, the Flesh Tears managed to conceal their worst excesses by staying apart from other Imperial forces on the battlefield and always unleashing their savage assaults first. In the same way did the Flesh Tears avoid the collateral damage amongst their allies that once was the hallmark of the chapter's assaults. Now, worlds that once reviled the Flesh Tears praise them as saviours. It is too early to tell if Seth's strategy will ultimately bear fruit, especially as the devastation of Baal, the chapter has been brought back to its full strength with the integration of Primaris Space Marines, who are known to be far more resistant to the flaw of their brethren. In combat, he wields an enormous two-handed chainsword named Blood Reaver, and is more than capable of hacking even the most monstrous enemies limb from limb with it. As he fights, Seth lashes out at his opponents with vicious kicks, punches and headbutts, using every part of his anatomy as a weapon. The chapter master prefers to plunge headlong into the massed foes before unleashing his full ferocity upon the bodies pressed in around him, and it has been remarked by Commander Dante of the Blood Angels that such luckless victims would have more chance of surviving a battle cannon shell landing in their midst. Indeed, the Bloodgent results are not dissimilar. Okay, do I think Gabriel Seth will make a return? I hope so. I really do hope so. But once again, I'm a little bit on the fence about this. I can't formulate a reason as to why he wouldn't be included in the new Blood Angels Codex and then be brought back out again later on in something else, an index or a White Dwarf release or something. I don't know. I find it really bizarre that he isn't in the new codex, and I find it really difficult to see how he would just be randomly introduced later on. It's not impossible, but yeah, I'm on the fence, but I hope so, because I have a huge Flesh Tears army and I would quite like a new miniature to lead that force, so fingers crossed. Okay guys, that's my list of the top 5 Space Marines which I think have been forgotten and neglected by Games Workshop, that I think will deserve to return to the Codex with new miniatures, fresh rules, and just to be played on hundreds of tables around the world. There's a couple of questions I have for you guys. One, do you think this list is accurate? Do you think these are the top 5 Space Marines that are currently missing, or do you think there is a more important 1, 2, or 3 out there that I've forgotten about? If I get enough popularity, there's enough kind of votes for other characters, I will do a part 2 to this. So please do let me know down below what characters you would like to see in the next video. Also, what do you think about my list? Do you think that I'm right or wrong about these characters making a return or not? I'd love to know your opinion on that as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this deep dive into some Space Marine characters. You had a good time. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you do those 3 standard things which you should do for all creators if you enjoy their content, which is 1, give the video a like, answer my questions in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed. It costs you nothing to do and it makes a world of difference for us. If you want to support the channel on an even greater thing, there's links to things like my Patreon and becoming a channel membership, link down below. Those 2 things really do keep the lights on and the cameras rolling, so if you do want to check those out, like I said, they're down below. Everyone who's already signed up, thank you guys so much. From the bottom of my heart, you are all heroes. Alright guys, thank you so much for sticking around at the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.